You know, when we think about building strength, our minds usually go straight to adding things, right? A new workout, a new habit, a new productivity hack. But what if real mental strength isn't about what you start doing, but what you stop doing? Today, we're going to break down some game-changing lessons from Amy Morin's incredible book, 13 Things Mentally Strong People Don't Do.
This line, man, it just hits you, doesn't it? It's from the author herself, and it kind of sets the stage for everything we're about to talk about. This tells you right away that this isn't some dry academic list. It's a roadmap for getting stronger that was forged in the fire of real, profound loss.
So Amy Morin is a psychotherapist, but the lessons she shares come from a place that's incredibly personal. She found herself staring down a series of just unimaginable tragedies, and those experiences forced her to figure out what mental strength actually means when life pushes you to your absolute breaking point.
I mean, just try to wrap your head around this timeline for a second. At 23, she loses her mother, just suddenly. A few years later, her husband, Lincoln, dies unexpectedly. And then, after finding love again, her new father-in-law is diagnosed with terminal cancer. It was right in the middle of all this grief that she started to see these unhealthy habits that were holding her and so many of her patients back from being truly strong.
And this is where it all clicks. This is the core idea of the whole book. It's something called via negativa, which is just a fancy way of saying the path of subtraction. Building mental muscle isn't about piling on more stuff. It's about having the guts to eliminate the destructive thoughts and behaviors that are draining your energy. So the real question is, what do you need to let go of?
All right, so the first set of habits we're going to look at are all about our inner world. These are the things that secretly chip away at our sense of control, our self-worth, and, honestly, our ability to see things clearly.
First up, and it's a big one, self-pity. Morin calls it an addictive, non-pharmaceutical narcotic. And that's so true, right? It feels comforting for a second, but all it really does is disconnect you from reality and keep you completely stuck. Mentally strong people, they feel pain for sure, but they refuse to let self-pity become their story.
So, how do you know if you're caught in this trap? Let's do a quick gut check. Be honest with yourself as you look at these. If you find yourself nodding along to a few of them, it might be a sign that self-pity is taking up way more of your mental energy than you think.
So, what's the alternative? Well, check out this incredible quote. It's from a woman who was given just months to live. Every year, on the anniversary of the surgery that saved her life, she celebrates what she calls Lung Leaving Day. She writes her fears on a plate, and she smashes it into a fire. Now, that's not about ignoring pain. It's an active, powerful choice to trade that feeling of helplessness for gratitude and action.
Okay, the second thing to stop doing is giving away your power. This is huge. It means you refuse to let other people or your circumstances dictate how you think, how you feel, or how you act. At the end of the day, you are the only one in charge of you, period.
This slide breaks down a really important idea in psychology, your locus of control. Basically, it comes down to this. Are you in the driver's seat of your life, or are you just a passenger? If you have an internal locus, you believe you make things happen. So if a job interview goes badly, you think, okay, what can I do better next time? But with an external locus, you feel like things just happen to you. You'd say, well, they probably had better people anyway. Mentally strong people work hard to stay in that driver's seat.
And if you want a story that just stops you in your tracks, this is it. Officer Stephen McDonald was shot and paralyzed by a teenager. But instead of letting that kid control the rest of his life through hatred and revenge, he made a choice. He chose to forgive him. By doing that, he took his power back. He refused to let bitterness poison his entire existence. Just incredible.
All right, let's keep going. The next big theme is all about how we handle the world outside our own heads. You know, our relationships with friends, coworkers, and yeah, even those strangers on social media.
Look, it's one thing to feel a little jealous now and then. That's just human. But resentment? That's a whole different animal. It's a toxic emotion that doesn't just say, I wish I had what you have. It says, I wish you didn't have it.
And this breaks it down so perfectly. Jealousy is simply, I want that. But resentment adds this poisonous little twist, and you don't deserve it. Mentally strong people get that someone else's win doesn't mean you lose. They can actually be happy for others because their own self-worth isn't tied up in playing the comparison game.
And in today's world, social media is basically a minefield for this stuff. A study back in 2013 found that the biggest triggers for envy on Facebook weren't huge things like promotions or new houses. Nope. It was vacation photos and, get this, the number of happy birthday messages someone got. It just shows how easily resentment can sneak in over the smallest things if we're not paying attention. Okay, so we've looked at our internal thoughts and our external relationships. The last piece of this puzzle is mastering our actions. How we handle failure, how we view progress, and how we stick with the long, hard road to actually getting where we want to go.
This is a massive mindset shift. Mentally strong people just don't see failure as the end of the road. They don't see it as proof that they suck. Instead, they see failure as evidence that they're actually pushing their own boundaries, and they treat it like an opportunity to learn something and come back even stronger.
I mean, just look at the story of Walt Disney. It's a masterclass in perseverance. His first animation studio went bankrupt. Then, he had a hit character, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, and a distributor basically stole the rights out from under him. Even his first Mickey Mouse cartoons got rejected. But he didn't quit. Every single failure was a lesson that eventually led him to build a global empire, all starting in the middle of the Great Depression.
Oh man, this is a tough one for us today, isn't it? We live in this instant gratification world. We want everything yesterday, the perfect body, the dream job, the personal growth. But real, meaningful change is almost never a quick fix. Mentally strong people get that progress is a marathon, not a sprint. They're patient enough to play the long game. Look at this number, 7 years. That's how long it took for Amazon, the company that now delivers stuff to us in a day, to actually turn a profit. That's 7 years of investing, building, and just believing in a vision without seeing any immediate payoff. That is the power of patience right there.
So how do we pull all this together? Let's boil it all down into a simple toolkit that you can start using right now.
It really all comes down to these 3 pillars. First, reclaim your internal power by taking charge of your thoughts. Second, redefine your external world by managing how you interact with others. And third, master the path forward by managing your actions with patience and a whole lot of grit. So, as we finish up here, I want to leave you with this one question. Think back over everything we've talked about and be really honest with yourself. Which one of these habits, feeling sorry for yourself, giving away your power, resenting others, giving up too soon, or expecting instant results, which one is the one that's really holding you back? Because just knowing that awareness, that's the first step. The next step is all yours.